Sorry, guys, to start a couple minutes late. We would blame it on our new city manager, but I have a feeling she's taken enough abuse in the short period of time she started. So we would start with a roll call, please, if you'd be kind enough.
I am going to need an attendance sheet. Flanagan. Absent. Mr. Swindell. Mr. Lynch.
Here.
Mr. Coburn.
Here.
Mr. Brunel.
Here.
Ms. Norville. Mr. Franks.
Here.
Mr. Dunbar.
Here.
Mr. Beckoff. Mr. Washington.
Here.
Ms. Ware.
Here.
Mr. Walker.
Mr. Walker's not on the board any longer. Thank
You need for a call.
7.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Just me.
Thanks very much. So we have each year elections. I would step away from the table, so Andrew, I obviously can't conduct the election, so Andrew will conduct the election and I'll jump in after.
Yeah.
Yep.
You have to actually leave. So,
Okay. Give this guy a gavel.
So, every May we do the election for the chair and the vice chair. As Steve has stepped away, I'll assist with the election for the chair. After that, we can elect the vice chair with Steve president. A motion is required, recommending someone for the chair position. Does anyone have any?
Motion to recommend Steve.
I'll second. Okay, and then we could get out of here. You can be in the room. You just can't vote. So we'll do a roll call, please.
Just for the record, that was, you said to recommend Mr. Winton again for the chair position.
Yes, please.
Okay, thank you.
Any further nominations?
Any discussion? Anybody else want?
Nominations, if not, move to close the nominations.
Any further nominations? If not, we'll move to close the nomination.
Move to close?
Good. Close. Second.
I don't think we need to motion that, did we?
We don't need a vote to close.
Okay. I'm sorry, sir.
Yep.
The motion was,
Motion to close nominations, and you should vote on it.
well, isn't the motion to re-elect Mr.
No.
Winton as chair?
There's a motion on the floor to close nominations. You adopt that motion, then after that, you can proceed to the election of the person that's been nominated to be the chair.
Okay. So, who made the first motion to open up the nomination?
Close. I think you're asking who made the motion to close. It was you made that motion.
Yes, I did.
Yes, I second.
Sorry, so, since it's not here on the agenda, that's why I'm having a little bit of difficulty. So, I'm sorry, Andrew, so recommending this is for the election of the new chair?
Yes.
Okay, got it.
Thank
And then the motion to close nominations. Once again, who was the first?
Brunel, Tyler
Thank you.
was to close.
Second, Franks.
Thank you.
Harry Flanagan's here. Board member.
Hello. Okay, and so then there is a new motion to re-elect Mr. Whitten as the chair, correct?
We have to vote on the motion and close the nominations.
Oh. That can't be a voice vote?
Yes, Ken.
Yeah, voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Oh, then the motion to re-elect Mr. Whitten as the chair was made by,
John Lynch,
thank you.
Tyler Brunel, second.
Do we need to, would you like a roll call, sir, or, voice vote?
Voice notice.
Thank you. Voice vote?
Aye.
All in favor? Any opposed? Wonderful, thank you so much. Welcome back, Mr. Whitten.
Thank you very much, guys.
Trying to make it as difficult as possible.
You did. We're sitting out there and going, wait a minute, do they not like? So, we now have we have a position available for, vice chair. Well, thank you very much. I wonder if anybody has a recommendation from the floor. Maybe we have, somebody who would like to nominate, etc. I do. I would like to nominate Robert Washington as vice chair.
I'll second that. Thank you.
To nominate Mr. Washington was made by, did you make the motion as the chair?
I can't, Andrew.
That's correct. Yes. At this point, Bob.
You would follow it up now with a motion to close nominations.
Motion to close the nomination.
Second.
We don't see this at all.
This is gonna be who's on third again. Okay, motion to open up nominations for the vice chair. Or close nominations, my apologies, closed. And that was made by,
John Lynch.
second,
Oh, thank you.
you.
Oh, okay.
Okay, and then it was the motion to nominate Mr. Washington, which was made by Mr. Whitten for the vice chair, and the second was
Tyler,
Tyler?
Yeah.
For now?
Okay.
And do you want this voice vote, okay?
Sure, please.
Voice vote on the motion to
On
close.
the motion to close, yeah.
So let's do the, okay, all in favor for
Aye.
for the, this, for the, to close the nomination. Any opposed? Okay, so this is going to be for the motion for the vice chair for Mr. Washington, all in favor? Any opposed? Yes.
Washington, congratulations.
Thank God.
Thank you. Robert, just for what it's worth, we obviously have an issue with sunshine laws, etc. Robert has been an incredible source of information for us. He obviously works in the industry, but he has, we've learned a great deal, so, thank you very much for that. We have a new member, Jeff Coburn. Jeff, if you want to come up, first of all, we welcome you and, appreciate you joining the board.
Appreciate
And
that.
if you'd like, if kind enough, just introduce yourself and perhaps say a little bit about yourself. That fits your head is way too soon.
I'm a charter member of the Big Head Club. Jeff Coburn, been down here about 6.5 years, moved down here from Chicago. Spent a lot of time in Jupiter when I was in Chicago. It's kind of my escape. So I've always loved South Florida, born in Miami, raised in Georgia. And glad to be more.
Thank you very much. Minutes, last month, I believe Andrew took the minutes last month, and did a phenomenal job. I'm assuming everybody reviewed them. Does anybody have any questions, concerns whatsoever?
Yeah, just one item.
Yes.
I think there was something on there mentioning about, how far a boat, can extend into the waterway. And I think, said typically or commonly is measured from the seawall. I just wanted to just note in the code, it says that, boats, vessels, and waterway, and watercraft moored in mooring structure shall not extend to more than 30% of the width of the canal or waterway measured from the reported property line. So I just want to make sure it's from the property line, it's per the code versus the seawall.
Yes, it is, and we've been working on a number of amendments to firm that up. We've looked pretty deeply into the difference between wet face and property line in terms of draftsmanship. At the end of the day, decided that it was far easier to just stick with the property line. There will be an exception grafted into this. For example, think about Cordova Road. Well, the property line is 50 feet on the other side. So we'll draft it in so that wherever we have a Cordova Road type of a situation, it'll be measured from the outward boundary of that road, the waterward boundary.
Andre, you put up number 6, please. So, one of the issues we've been dealing with, city managers is try to understand how to kind of unify how we're measuring, et cetera. We've had a number of waivers that have failed in making it through the city commission. And again, some could be political, some could be based in fact, et cetera, but we knew we needed to do our homework. And Bob's takeaway with that was we needed to unify how we're measuring. And if you notice this, by the way, this is a property up on 16th Street. They are replacing the seawall, but in this case, they did not remove the existing seawall, so they put in sheet piles. Now these sheet piles work fine. We'll get to Norbert a little later to talk about that. But the problem is here, they've already come out an extra 8 inches. So if we are going wet face to wet face, this property owners cheated us. And if this happens on each side, then it starts to really infringe. So Bob is working on unifying the code, so we are measuring from property line to property line, since he has confirmed that the measuring for the flats is really the most good way of doing. He's put a lot of work into this. Thank you very much for that. Anything else? So we have a motion to approve the minutes, please, from last month.
Yeah, motion approved.
Second, anybody?
Second.
And we'll let you have a voice vote, please.
I just want to get clarification. So you were only expanding on the minutes, not asking for any correction.
That's correct.
Thank you. So the motion to approve was by Mr. Frank, second. Thank
Right.
you. All those in favor? Any opposed?
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
So. Thank you. So,
Champagne.
we have, well, the champagne cork is popping. See, Raquel thought I was kidding when I said we have a lot of fun here. So, just, Dean, it's non-alcoholic. So, some quick good and welfare, guys. Do want to obviously acknowledge all the city managers here, and I can't thank you enough for that. Spoke to Dr. Gassman. She sends her support. She's on virtually, so thank you for joining us, Doctor. I want to introduce you to a couple folks here. John Nigro. John Nigro is from Inform Boat Show. Patience Khan, we all know, is with everything boat related in South Florida, MISF. Sitting next to John Kelly from Bradford Marine. If I'm missing anybody, I apologize. Sham ATN was somewhere from the Coast Guard. Sham was going to join us, didn't make it, but Sham is a big supporter of us here. Chris Stacy from Rock the Ocean. Are you here? Chris Stacy was stopping by to give us a report on the success of the Tortuga Fest. It is non-alcohol. But talk about the Tortuga Fest. It was a great success, and we'll let Travis address that as well. Chip Lamar spoke with this morning. He sends cards. He's in Tallahassee, but asked I convey his best to the new city manager, etc. And I thank him all for that. And we also have a young lady here, Maddie Rieger, who's from Kind Design. Maddie, where are you? And Maddie came up to join us as well, as Kind Design did a presentation to us probably a year ago, and they are building one of the first living seawalls in the city. So thank you for joining us, Maddie. Patience had gone to Miami recently. Captain Frank Florio is now in charge of Sector Miami, and he's a good guy, and he'll hopefully join us in subsequent meetings. We had Fleet Week, which is a great success, and if you were outside of all today, the most wonderful event of all, the air show is taking place today. So really great stuff. Let me move on to, thank you very much, to waterway crime and safety. But before I do that, I would like to, since we have champagne here, I want to do two things. I wanted to take a second to, I wanted to take a second to congratulate and welcome our city manager, but to congratulate her and wish you all the best. I also, wherever he is, Marco, where are you?
Hello.
And so Marco is our new finally, our chief waterway officer, so he is under Raquel's office as well, and we want to welcome him on board. I will tell you, in the 4 days he has been, has it been 4 days?
Yes.
He's kicked ass. And he's asked the right questions. Did you tell me you towed 150-foot concrete dock yourself this morning? So he doesn't just wear a suit, he's out in the field.
I was out there in a suit doing that.
So my very best to Raquel, team, and Marco. Thank you all for doing it. So waterway crime and safety, and we'll try to move things quickly here. I promise Raquel she can get home to a 5 and 8-year-old today. Is that right? Okay.
Steve, do you wanna wait? I got 2 videos that are a little lengthy, so if you wanna jump in, that's fine.
I think, well, we can. I just want to be sensitive to their time.
Right, of course.
So we'll buzz through quickly. Chief Tingle, was gonna be here, but he got tied up. So, we're back to Chad Robertson, who really gets the program. And I will tell you, if I can, what you all have in front of you. Can I grab one of those flyers? Chad? These guys put this together, and it's a great report. So for Raquel and anybody else from the city, Travis O'Neill has been here forever, and he is a vital part of this organization. Fire Rescue joined us recently, and Ed Easton, who's code compliance. This particular sheet is a great way of demonstrating what's going on, etc. And we can't thank the team enough for that. So we are greatly appreciative. And if you'd like to give us a quick update,
I'll be
please.
quick. The calls that I'm gonna discuss, Sergeant O'Neill will be showing the videos of. On, the month of April, we ran 7 fireboat calls, 2 in which were, April 19th, fireboat 49 was en route to a boat accident at the Triangle. Upon arrival, they were canceled by Fort Lauderdale police units and heard over the radio that Ocean Rescue had, a rescue in progress with 4 kids. 3 were rescued, 1 was missing. Fireboat 249 went Oceanside and Ladder 49 went land-based. They had several divers in the water working in conjunction with Ocean Rescue. We had Broward County Air Rescue was out, Coast Guard was out. They searched for an hour and a half with divers in the water and Ocean Rescue doing a search along the beach. After an hour and a half, they called off the search, and Fort Lauderdale Police Department Nautical went in the water and started their recovery process. And I believe within 2 hours is when they found the child 100 yards from the last scene. The weather, when you see the videos, you'll see it really windy riptides the whole month. And then on Monday, April 28th, they had a call that a vehicle drove into Cooley's Landing. Fireboat 249 went with Ladder 49 and Rescue 49. Engine 49 went land-based, got there first, asked the person of one of their yachts if they could get on the boat. They deployed the rapid diver off the back of the vessel, and where they found within a minute and a half to 2 minutes, our rapid diver found the victim inside the vehicle, was able to extricate him out, transferred him over to rescue, and they worked it as a code to Broward General, where the person did not succumb to their injuries there. So it was a pretty busy month with not the turnout that we like, but we're going to continue doing what we do in training and trying to make our outcomes better.
So, thank you for that. I'm gonna reiterate that if any of you have not stopped by the fire station, you can pop into any of the fire stations. It just so happens that, Chad is from 49, which is where the fire pits are, etc. But if you haven't toured one of these places and see the pride these guys have in their work and what they do, again, I strongly suggest just knock on the door or give them a call.
I'll leave some of my cards on the table, but if you have family in town or you just want to stop by, welcome to call us, schedule, come when I'm on duty, and we have the best chef in the department. And we have a good time, and we'll show you everything we do. I'd also like to introduce Assistant Chief Stuart Ahern.
Hi, how's everybody doing? Stuart Ahern, been with the city for 25 years, oversaw the Marine team for just under 15 years. So it's been a while since I've really been involved with everything. Chief Pingle apologizes for not being here, so he did ask me to come and speak on his behalf. I did just want to go over a couple things, the holistic view and the mission of the fire department, how the Marine team and the Marine response falls into that. I know a lot of you in this room have probably heard this before, but just to give you an overview, we have 12 fire stations within the city. Of those 12 stations, we run about 150 calls per day. With that, Fire Station 49 is one of those 12. They're positioned on the south end of the beach, and they cover that south end of the beach as well as the Las Olas Isles. One of our challenges, as most of you know, is the adaptive response with the Marine team. With the staffing that we do currently have at Fire Station 49, it's 8 personnel, and we run 3 apparatus out of there. So it's Engine 49, Ladder 49, and Rescue 49. We have 2 fire boats that are there, maintained, but they're not permanently staffed. It's the personnel that's from those land-based units that move over to the boat units. With that, we're able to put 2 boats in service where we need a minimum of 4 people to operate a boat. We prefer 5, especially if there's going to be a dive operation. You need those 5 positions to do the operation safely and compliant with NFPA. For us to do these responses that Captain Robertson was talking about, we have to have those land-based units available at the station. If those land-based units are not available, if they're on another call, a chest bang call, cardiac arrest, structural fire, that's where our challenge is with getting the boat in service and on the water, because we simply don't have the personnel at that moment to put the boats in service. When that does happen, we have to rely on calling the county in. They do have a fireboat that is staffed, but the county also does have some challenges as to where they are firefighters from a fireboat, but they don't have any dive capabilities. So they don't have the capabilities that we have and we can put in service. So yeah, with that, if you guys have any questions or anything as far as the service delivery or the calls, I can say when in 2017 we put the Metalcraft in service, I think the calls annually, and don't quote me on this, it's probably hovering right around 60 to 100. When 2017 we put the Metalcraft in service, it took a lot of hours to train everybody on how to be an officer on that boat, how to be a pilot on that boat, firefighters on the boat. So the boat was constantly on the water. To do that, we had to take the land-based units out of service, which again, that weakens the land-based responses. But with that, I believe it was right around 2017, we were running about 300 calls. So it's because we had the availability of these units and they were on the water. Response times can be much better, and just the response overall, can happen.
One of the things that we started to do, again, being very sensitive to sunshine regulations, et cetera, is working with Travis, working with fire rescue, kind of doing a capital needs assessment to see where they're weak. These guys are very proud of their vessels, et cetera, but with all due respect, when you get to 6,000 hours on an engine, it's getting kind of old. So I took it upon myself to reach out to Travis, do the same with fire rescue, and make sure that we are staying ahead of the curve there. We're clearly overstepping our boundary, but I want to make sure that our guys have the right assets. So thank you. So Travis, you want to wait a little bit?
I can go now, whatever you want to do.
How are you on time? Okay, go ahead.
I'll start just by the general. We were the Fort Lauderdale Police Marine Unit in the month of April responded to 98 calls for service. We wrote 42 citations, responded to 3 boating accidents, no increase, and we had 3 water rescues that month. You can do the first video, please, on the stand. It's a call.
Mark, you ready? Mark, you good? Yeah.
Are you seeing now from driving with us?
Yeah.
Go.
You think I should have put the boat on the beach or no?
Fire boat coming out with one of you, straight on fire rescue, and transfer, continue to your original 13-3.
I see the pond boat before. I'm on my way here now.
Tell them to hold the inlet of the port. Can't transport it in. And Mr. Hanley kind of,
You got like 6 to 8 out here.
but this is
They want to wait in the inlet.
all, like, we got all, this is what.
They got a couple of guys out
Get the call from, people number one. And phone number.
here. Buck, you ready?
That boat come off the boat. Oh, no. He's in water so you're talking.
And you could hear in the audio, maybe you couldn't, they're debating whether they want to go to dock or if they want to beach the boat.
Yeah.
This is what they do every time they get a recovery. Those split second decisions are how quick can we get this individual to an ambulance on land?
In those conditions, the boat would be on the beach if you try to beach that boat.
Yeah.
This is the rescue during Tortuga Saturday that the Captain Robertson talked about. And this is when the FLPD divers are in the water searching for the young man. And this is Officer Toronto again. You can see it's low light conditions, divers in the water. At this time, there's 5 divers in the water. And they had already recovered the young man and gotten him onto one of the other vessels. And then Officer Triano was trying to keep his eyes on where the divers are at. They were chem lights, low light, and he's trying to figure out where they are for his positioning. And the seas are very rough that day too. And that day, you have divers in the water. Three divers ended up swimming to shore, and then Officer Triano and Officer Rose in the recovery. And the main reason I want to pull these videos to show you is just like this time of year, the sea conditions that we deal with.
Mickey,
There's
hold
no
on, I'm
way
coming over there.
Hers
You have divers on the other side?
dedication to going out there for if we get a call. It's been a busy weekend this week with the air show. They were rough, especially down a little bit. And rip tides every single day. That's one day to rip tides. And people don't realize it. They go in the water on the red flags. They figure out a cold swimmer, and then they swim like crazy. Sorry, point. That's all.
That's enough. Thank you. So this is what these guys deal with every day. They'll, take great group of guys. That takes our breath. Okay, Mr. Easton, are you there? I'm here. Thank you. Ed Easton is code compliance.
Good evening. Our waterway team has been working with the building department to help identify homes that have been doing work without permit behind the homes along the water. But I wanted to bring 2 active cases we have. We can open up any of them. Okay, you look at the picture, waterway specialist conducted, discovered the dock in disrepair with the exposed rebars. Property was cited on March 30th, and they have until May 28th to comply. I checked city records today, no permit yet has been pulled. But they have compliance time for the 28th. That one is at 915 Middle River Drive. Next one. Okay, this one, 5561 Northeast 28th Avenue. We received a complaint about a sinking vessel behind the residential property. Inspected and cited on April 16th. With 10 days to comply. There you go. The current property owner who bought the property in November of 2024, I advised the vessel was there when he bought the property. and they never took it with them. So, yeah, pretty bummed. As of April 30th, is no longer underwater. But it remained in derelict condition. We are obtaining quotes to remove it, from the property right now. And we're scheduled to go back out on May 14th. That shows, it's up.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank
Thank you.
Andre, we can put up, slide number, 8A, please. So one of the things that we were dealing with last year, that's a tough one to see. Andrew, John Luscombe, et cetera, we've had an issue with, abandoned vessels, et cetera. Safe to say that boat wasn't going anywhere. It was completely underwater. Travis visited way too many times, as did everybody from the city. We finally got it towed out of there. And one of the things that the guys have been working on is a way to expedite this. So removing these vessels, unfortunately, is not an easy thing. So Ed, thank you for focusing on this, because we're trying to come up with an expedited process to do this. So thank you very much. So that brings us to our meeting with city manager. I've already introduced Raquel and her team, I think, but I'm gonna touch on a few things, and we put together a little agenda to kind of go over some of the things we want to discuss. I have some random thoughts here. Chris Cooper, one of the things that we've been talking about under stress is making sure we are noticing people on time. So if you haven't seen Andrew before a meeting, etc., his fingers are raw from stuff in envelopes, etc. So we're very conscious of. Thank you for bringing that to our attention. With that, I'm gonna open this up to a team introduction. We've done that, and again, I put together a little agenda, but I'm gonna, if I can, back Raquel right to the corner and just ask you if you'd be kind enough to introduce yourself to the team and maybe give a little background. I'll give a great introduction. We did meet, and I am extremely bullish on Raquel. She comes from Miami. I'll give that background, but she comes with a really, really positive attitude, and we're delighted to have you join us. Thank you for coming to the meeting. If you don't mind taking a second to speak. Please, thank you.
So thanks for the invitation, Mr. Chair. Actually had an opportunity to have a meeting together, and I really got a chance to understand passion that you bring to the role as chair of the Marine Advisory Board. So I'm really delighted to be here. So thank you to everyone on board. Thank you to all the members of my team who are here today and members of the community. Tomorrow makes 1 month for me in this role. And so one of the requests I have from you, Steve, in exchange for me being here tonight, I want one of those hats. So hopefully my head isn't too big.
You'll be there tomorrow.
Being 1 month in, I've learned so much already. I thought I knew a lot about Fort Lauderdale before getting here, and then I realized that I knew very little. My husband will tell you that one of the ways that he got me to say yes to being his girlfriend and later becoming his wife was that we spent a lot of time out on his boat. And I got an appreciation of waterways in Miami-Dade County, where I grew up. And coming to Fort Lauderdale, I recognize that our waterways are one of our most precious assets. Our team is very diverse. Can you stand, city staff?
Thanks. Thank you.
Andrew? I just want you to realize the amount of resource that we put into supporting the Marine Advisory Board and supporting our waterways, even beyond the city manager's office. I know you've met most of the folks in the room, and I'm the new person, but I'm getting to know what each person does as well and how they contribute to the entire team. So thank you to staff.
Thank you.
So it says here, discuss the city manager's role. I feel like it changes from day to day, hour to hour, minute to minute. But my overall responsibility is to manage the day-to-day operations of the city and to lead a team of about 2,000 employees. My biggest responsibility, just from a more strategic perspective, is to help implement the vision of our city commission based on their policies and strategic plan. Other than that, I am putting out fires and hoping that everyone in our team is doing their part because that's what I expect of them. When I first started, one of the things that I mentioned to members of the senior leadership team as well as to all the members of our team FTL is that I expect everyone to lead with integrity and to deliver excellence. And I think those two driving factors will help us elevate Fort Lauderdale. So in the city manager's office, we have two assistant city managers, 3 acting assistant city managers. We also have our chief waterways officer and several other members of the team that help support the day-to-day operations. And when Steve asked for everyone on the team to come today, I was like, you want everybody? Because we're a big team and we all bring something a little different to the table, and they'll share more later. I do want to share that Carl, he's been a great leader in our Parks and Recreation department, and I know that he's contributed a lot as well to the team. So I've started to see agenda items related to marine-related things that are coming out of the Parks and Recreation department. So those agenda items are sort of teaching me a little bit more about the way that you contribute to the legislative direction of the city and how you make recommendations to the city commission. One of the things that I'm engaged in right now, and Laura will tell you this a little more later, is our budget development process. So I got the hint about capital resources and assets, and that's something we got to chat about a few weeks ago. I understand that the needs are great in the city. I think we have a lot of gaps and we have a lot of decision points to make in terms of how we prioritize our resources and our spending. And I recognize that we can also leverage the resources that we have with those from outside of the city, whether through grants or through donations. I think that we're at a pivotal point in the budget development process. And so if there are needs that have yet to be brought to my attention, now is the time to make those needs known. That's at the staff level as well as from any members of our community or this board. So I know we have our organizational chart here. If you take a look at your.
I think that not to interrupt you, Raquel, but as I started to look at the organizational charts and the people that we all know on your team, there's very little that we do that doesn't interact with somebody on your team, whether it's marine construction, whether it's waiver, whether it's dock, etc. And it's just the right thing. So thank you.
Well, as we introduced several members of the team, I do want to highlight to you, to your point, we have the chief waterways officer listed there. So under assistant city manager Anthony Favard, couldn't be here this afternoon. He's with the charter. But what I wanted you to know is that we plan to support the chief waterways officer in so many ways, particularly with our public works department. Some of the personnel that we have there that touch our waterways coming from code and will be introduced later. We know that there'll be a lot of connectivity with various departments. So although you see different bullet points and different functions on this org chart, just know that we all work together as a team. So just a little bit about my background and how I got here. I formerly was the assistant city manager in the city of Miami Beach, where I spent about 5 years in various roles, director and interim city manager. And I really wasn't looking to come to Fort Lauderdale necessarily. It just kind of happened to come up, and I saw the opportunity and I said, oh, this might make a lot of sense given my background, my experiences, things that I've dealt with in my beach, lots of synergies with Fort Lauderdale. And I thought this might be a great opportunity for me to share what I've learned, what I know, what I think I can bring to Broward County. So I saw this opportunity as one where I could bring a lot, but also gain a lot. So I've gained a lot in the last month officially in this role, but I've been trying to learn a lot over the past maybe 3 or 4 months now. And so I appreciate everything that's been so welcoming and supportive, and those who have taken the opportunity to reach out, schedule a meeting. I've had chances to go to various civic association meetings. I've been taking time now to visit with all of the departments. I think I have maybe 5 departments left that I can tour and visit. And really, I'm just taking it all in. I anticipate that our team will continue to work very well together and that we'll be successful in various initiatives that we have before us. And I definitely want to but this time I want to introduce members of the city manager's office. I'm going to start with Susan Grant, assistant city manager, former acting manager. If you want to go ahead and talk a little bit about how you contribute.
Absolutely. As Raquel said, Susan Grant, Assistant City Manager. I started with Fort Lauderdale probably 6 years ago as Finance Director. Previously worked for the City of Coral Springs for 27 years in various roles, including Controller, Finance Director, HR Director, and a Deputy City Manager. But so happy to have found a new home here in Fort Lauderdale with all of you. So started in finance, spent some time as Assistant City Manager, past 10 months as the acting, and what an honor that was and a privilege to serve, and happy to be back in my old role. So currently I'm overseeing our finance department. My background is a CPA. So in addition to the exciting things finance does as far as putting together financial statements, they pay all our employees, they pay all our vendors, they do all our procurements. So those are important things. One thing everyone might not know about the city of Fort Lauderdale is we have a AAA bond rating, which is a testament to the work that the finance department does and the whole city does. And that what that means for us is when we borrow money, we can borrow it at the best possible rates. So that's the finance department. I'm overseeing the executive airport as well. And as Steve mentioned, they are currently the hosts of the Blue Angels for the air show over the next 2 days, and that's pretty exciting. And finally, the Chief Education Officer is in my portfolio as well. And I know Susan Leon has worked with the Marine Industries Association. She's working with them to get the word out to the schools about an elevator pitch for the marine industries, and she's also working with some of the schools on some of the marine programs. So anyway, happy to be here with you all again, and thanks for having us.
So much.
Good afternoon. I am Laura Reese. I am acting assistant city manager. I've been with the city for around 13 years, actually the 30th, a couple days ago. So I've loved my role here. Thank you all for the great work you do. The reason I'm in Fort Lauderdale is because of our waterways and our marine industry. Also, I came from Michigan originally, close to the new guy in Chicago, and loved Michigan. Really cold, you know, the water, you couldn't be on it all that often. So I came here in 2003 to work for the county. So I've been in local government since 2003. Mostly budget management sort of roles, more internal facing, and helping Raquel to develop the budget this year. You know, you all started talking a little bit about your replacement plans, something I've been super passionate about developing over the years. So we work with police and fire to develop replacement plans from anything from SCBA gear to the equipment they need to dive, replacement vehicles. We have a lot of replacement plans, so we really do try to be really cognizant of all of the equipment, useful life, and the year that it's scheduled to be replaced, so that we can modify our financial plans and plan accordingly to keep that AAA bond rating. You know, cash in and cash out. You know, that's all a big part of what we do, and we look at with the city manager. My family does love the water. We boat, we fish. You know, so the work you do is really important to the city, to our economy, all of that. So I'm here to support. Right now I'm over OMB, HR, and then Office of Professional Standards. So a lot of internal facing, but all the good work that the folks here do who need us to operate. So thank you for having me.
Let's hire all the good people.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, it's nice to be with you again. I was here last month, as Steve mentioned, to present on the notice requirements for the Marine Advisory Board. So my name is Chris Cooper. I'm an acting assistant city manager as well. I've been in that role since August of 2024. I came to the city in 2028 as the Deputy Director of Development Services, and then I was promoted a few years later as the Director of Development Services. Prior to being here in the city of Fort Lauderdale, I was with the city of Gainesville for about 12 years up in North Florida. I had a variety of roles there. I left as the code enforcement manager for the city, and prior to that, I was the intergovernmental affairs coordinator for the city. If you know anything about Gainesville, water quality there is also very important. I had a chance to work on a lot of great projects, both through grants and city initiatives to help improve the water quality. We have more lakes and creeks up there than rivers and beaches, but if you know anything about the area is really a direct feeder for the Florida aquifer. So that's where Florida, a lot of the areas around here get a lot of their fresh water. So very aware and understanding of a lot of the issues that you all deal with in terms of water quality and making sure that we protect resources adequately. So my portfolio, I have the neighbor support division within the city manager's office. That division is really the direct connection between the commission, the city manager, the city, and a lot of our civic associations, and fields a lot of citizen and neighbor requests into the office. If you all came to our neighbor support night, which is a great event we do every year to really gather everybody in one place to celebrate our city, the neighbor support division produces that event for the city. We also, in that office, handle all of our city's homeless initiatives. I know that's been a really hot topic and a priority for the city commission. And the role of my team is to help further those initiatives and make a difference to our homeless community. And last but not least, we also coordinate our volunteer efforts for the city. Last week, we had our CARES Day event. It's one of, I think, 3 volunteer events that we coordinate to the office. And part of that event, we do at least a couple waterway cleanups. So I know Susan Grant was at the George English Park waterway cleanup. I was at the Bill Keith Preserve waterway cleanup. So there's opportunities for anybody to come out and take a role in protecting our city's waterways. I also oversee our community redevelopment agency. That agency is based on certain geographic areas of our city where a portion of the annual tax revenue is returned back to those areas for use for things like economic development, public improvements, and things like that. And it's really, the goal is really to drive growth and prosperity in those areas in the city. And lastly, I came from development services. I still oversee development services. Development services is everything from the inception of new developments and projects all the way through the building of those projects, and then the enforcement to make sure that those projects are following our city's ordinances. So in that role with new development, especially along our waterways, we really do take a look, and we're very cognizant of how those developments interact with the adjacent waterways, how they impact or hopefully don't impact the shoreline. So things like Riverwalk along the New River, when we have new developments there, we have plans in place and policies to make sure that those new developments really add to those experiences along our waterways and not detract from those experiences. The building department is responsible for issuing all the building permits for anything built in the city. When you guys approve a waiver for a dock, that comes to us for permitting, and we make sure that the waivers that you provided are applied appropriately and accurately. I also oversee in that department code enforcement. I come from a code enforcement background. I'm very aware and appreciative of the work that code enforcement does. I know Ed Easton's here. We got Jessica Rockis. Mark is a former code enforcement officer, and what they do is so important to us because they make sure that our city is safe and also properties are well kept and maintained to make sure values stay high and we're able to do the things in the city that we need to do with those property values. So that's me in a nutshell. I'm happy to be here for the 2nd month in a row, and I hope to be back soon.
So I know that it could be bad people. But this is, so I believe there's and we didn't understand that. We all understood the values. So this was extreme.
Yes, good evening, board. Thanks for having me again. I've been at the last couple of meetings as I support the Parks and Recreation Department. I have the pleasure of working closely with Mr. Dunkel on all the agenda items. And I enjoy learning from him and this board on all things water related. I hail from northern Indiana, not too far from where Mr. Fulmer said he's from. South Bend is my home area.
I, like Laura, got tired of the cold in the winters and moved down about 7 years ago. So as I said, I oversee or support the Parks Department. I also support the Transportation and Mobility Department. So both those I think are pretty easily explainable departments. Roadways, stoplights are probably my biggest complaint that I get. And then, like I said, I support the marinas and Andrew. In addition, I have the pleasure of serving as the Marine Industries of South Florida City Liaison. So I meet with patients on a regular basis and try to keep my pulse on all things on the marine industry. I try to help navigate, no pun intended, through things. I also support the boat show and Mr. Nigro on all the operation setups and things like that. And the other role or task I have is overseeing our city's real estate department. So all the properties in the city, how we manage things. I have been tasked with a couple of large projects, delivering the Los Angeles Marina project was one of my projects. And I'm currently taking on the iShaw project, which includes the Ocean Rescue Headquarters. And I'm also working on the water taxi terminal with Mr. Walker out by Fire Station 49. And that concludes my presentation.
So again, the insight, I mean, it's the fact that we've all been doing this for a fair amount of time. This is great insight. And so this particular slide, we kicked this off January, in our January meeting, joint meeting with MIA. And we talked about the various challenges, etc. And somewhere in the back of your inbox, you wrote, so I don't know what the answer is. We know we have a problem with good water quality. We know we have a problem with navigation up to the district. We know we have endless issues. But again, my quote is doing nothing is simply not an option. So you got to get out the first step. I'm very presumptuous and but the fact is we got to start somewhere. You guys coming is big help to us, and we help to accomplish a big goal in one year. I had mentioned in this little agenda the reintroduction of Chief Schultz. Chief Bowden, Chief Bowden is not here tonight. Chief Schultz is. So yeah, we're we're all welcome to meeting with you. We obviously keep the real Travis.
As do I.
And I know you do. And you know, so we want to say something, but you know, we're all connected.
So those of you who may not know me, I'm Bill Schultz, and by the costume, you can probably guess I'm the police. Real quick introduction again to myself. In my 24th year of service, also from Michigan. We were just discussing that this morning. Quick note, I went to visit my mother for Easter, arrived on Friday, it was 84, left on Monday, it was 40. Reminded me why I'm here. The police department, you're all very familiar with what we do in general. Unlike, I find cohorts who have multiple departments, I have one. It is a large department, but I would really like to focus on one of our pride and joys and something that's always been near and dear to my heart, the Marine Unit. For many years, I've been involved with them many years, various different levels of supervision. And Travis and I had a discussion today, and it helped reinvigorate my memory of everything they do. So I just wanted to go through some bullet points here, and behind me, don't make fun of the font size. So our Marine Unit obviously provides maritime enforcement, but here's a number of the items that they do. Emergency response, calls for service, speed zone violations, boating accident and investigations up to major injury. If it's major injury or suspected potential death, it's turned over to FWC with ARDOS. Safety inspections, of course, derelict and abandoned vehicles, open water rescues, we just discussed that. Support of police dive team and rescues and evidence recovery. Support of our SWAT water entry team deployments. So for Everglades cruise and container ship security escorts, general visibility patrols, and of course, marine education events, which we have many. And if anyone ever wants one of our officers to come to one of your events, please reach out to Travis and invite us to do so. The unit is also integral in providing protection for, obviously, the July 4th fireworks barge, the security escort of the Winterfest boat parade vessels, the establishment and enforcement, starting today through Sunday, of the FAA Aviation Safety Box for the air show, and assisting the load in and load out and patrols, facilitating our international boat show each year. Our jurisdiction is 165 miles of navigable waterways, 3 miles out through the ocean, and we do go further to back up the Coast Guard or other law enforcement agencies, or of course, if there's a call of a boat in distress or an ocean rescue, we'll go as far as needed. Currently, the unit consists of 1 supervisor and 6 officers who carry out, we're carrying 1 vacancy. We just lost an officer retirement. And this allows for 1 day shift, 7 days a week, 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. In the past, we have had 2 shifts, and I know that's been a frequent discussion here. And of course, I'll continue that discussion as well. But we do provide beyond day shift patrol, thanks to the Broward County Enhanced Marine Law Enforcement Grant, Lake Grant. We receive about $156,000 a year to allow for overtime enforcement 7 days a week. And depending on the day, Monday through Thursday, they allow it to 2 p.m. to midnight, and then Friday and Saturday, they let us go 6 a.m. to midnight, and that's because of the increased boat traffic. The grant is funded when people register their boats. They have to pay a fee to the county, and that's how we fund the grant. Leading up to a tropical storm, their focus changes. They transition to a mission of contacting any anchored vessels, advise them to either depart or secure ashore or otherwise, and mostly and a lot of facilitating the direction of the flotilla, which inevitably we have many boats and vessels who quickly want to exit town. This group spearheads that for a lot of waterways area in our city. In the event of severe flooding, they again redeploy inland if needed, and we have purchased a 16-foot connector rescue boat. The boat is a shallow draft, easily trailered and deployed boat with a capacity of 8 people. In addition, we have 2 John boats, a 12-foot and a 15-foot, to assist with shallow water rescue. So with all that, you can see with only 7 officers, they have many duties. But I will tell you, they provide outstanding service, very commendable work every day, and I couldn't be more proud of the work that our Marine unit does.
So, we all like you. I can certainly confirm that they are PD as far as rescue. So, unfortunately, I usually PD as far as rescue, we always assume we're going to be there. You know, you assume the end of the start, you assume the comes to the work, etc. So, I think so. I will sure. So, thank you again for that. The Chief Waterway Officer, our new Chief Waterway Officer, Marco Aguilera. Marco, can you kind of say a couple words?
Absolutely. Good evening, everybody. I have had the pleasure of coming before this board many times in the past 3.5 or so years since we've purchased a code enforcement vessel. I stand before you for the first time in the city of Fort Lauderdale history as a Chief Waterway Officer. And just as your sign says, this is the city taking a step, not the first step, but this is a very large step towards really making a difference in our waterways. Unlike a lot of my colleagues, I was born and raised in Broward County. I've been here my whole life. I've recreated on these waters. I've learned to fish on these waters. I go out on the weekends with the family boat. I learned how to scuba dive in these waters. These waters mean a lot to me. Even as a child, I was in Boy Scouts and Sea Cadets and all the different little corny groups that you can get into. But I've participated in I don't know how many waterway cleanups and different activities throughout our city, throughout the area. Doing my part just to be active and help the community. I have been in the office now for 4 days. It still is a lot. Lots of meetings, lots of meeting with different groups, lots of figuring out responsibilities. But as you can see from the portfolio that our city manager and our assistant city managers have, they have a lot on their plate. And they do get called in different directions to put out fires and help with different things. Sorry, fire department, they do put out fires too. But I am 100% dedicated to the waterways. So I am your source. If you haven't met me, I'm here. I will be giving out my phone number as people are exiting the room. I don't have business cards where I'd be giving them out. But I will be here at all the meetings moving forward. So if anyone has any questions, I've been out in the community so far with the Coastal Conservation Association. I have met with Residents for Resilience. There's a lot of projects going on right now in the waterways in our city. A lot of them will be helping enhance the quality of our waters. Mike Lambricks and the Coastal Conservation Association really spearheading in getting more mangroves into our waterways. Obviously, a lot of you know that our waterways are almost all seawalls, and there's not much natural shoreline left in our city. So protecting the little bit of natural shoreline that we have and enhancing it with as many mangroves as possible and living seawalls is definitely a priority of mine. Also following up with construction sites and development and illicit discharges. That is a huge topic in our city. It happens frequently, but I have been on top of it since I've been here. I'll be working on streamlining the process so we can get to the site quicker and hopefully prevent them from happening in the first place. I make myself available for any questions, but I will be here moving forward. And it's a pleasure to be in front of you all again. Thank you.
Really great stuff. I mean, you guys want to be really quickly here if I can. Put up the slide and working on my own. We started this again, and I'll try to be quick, guys. So we started back in January working with MI as we sat here and we said, okay, what do we got to work on for next year? This is no particular work. So we came up with this whiteboard, which is sitting on the wall here, and we said, okay, what are the issues? Let's just talk about it. Legal discharge. We're all tired of seeing ships floating out of water. And that is that. So we have to deal with it. As Bob mentioned, the term extraordinary circumstances doesn't really apply, so we're going to kind of work on semantics. As far as loading and unloading, we know the problem with the old place commercial barges to load and unload. That's something we need to do. Need charges. We go on down the list here. So this is, so I have this in your package, I believe, as whiteboard action. Nobody needs to comment on them. I just want to in front of you guys so you know we're working. Something jumps off the page. But again, these are the things we both deal with and we know we're underway. With respect to things like extraordinary circumstances, so the bottom of the Wayne executive order. And again, we have to be very careful when it comes to the sunshine law. Graham, which I still understand the Bob Franks is involved in. We now have a great document study of the new river that we started to discuss that. So we have our short, and then we also will talk about short and long-term goals. So we have short and long-term goals here. Long-term is we want to make sure the water stays clean, not only for me any longer, not even for my kids. Now it's a legacy one with my grandchildren. So when somebody was talking about the fact that they were seeing, that somebody was in a park, there was a legal discharge in a park, and there's pollution there. If there's endless issues we are dealing with, I know Nancy Gaston's involved, but so there's a lot of folks working here. You guys are working on that. I just look at it from kind of a ground level view of looking at boats and saying, I see boats that are 20 hours and pipeline that's the plate, et cetera, so I wanna make sure our teams have the right thing. We clearly understand our boundary, but it's like it's our responsibility. I will take the full advantage of grant. I don't know, I heard the other day, education was mentioned, that there might be grant money available to find it's all for boat purchase. So I want to make sure we're taking the advantage of the dollars for the board. I also mentioned, you know, as polite as I can, go to capital world. We say that again, the voting capital world is not a pump. So we're talking about Anchorage limitation, Lake Sylvia, et cetera. If you're sitting here, I don't care if it's 5 days, 10, 30, 60, you don't have places for people. You gotta do a problem. Right now, we're just. So you don't have an Anchorage pump out facility, and you don't have proper ways to deal with that. On action items, things that I discussed with Raquel, followed up. Raquel has a wonderful system, by the way. She's each other. So we talked about post ride on the new river to a point. It's great. I mean, it's great respect for Carl and other folks in the city that sounds like they don't have the experience on the water. So Bill Walker has offered us water taxi, making sure we don't violate sunshine laws. We invite all the city managers, police, everybody, join us on water taxi. We can take you up to the yard. See what Bradford's doing, and understand the difficulty of it. Why something as simple as one dock takes us off. We removed the term moratorium from our vocabulary. We are asking every question. And that's perfectly fine. But we're coming back to work and not done it. Okay? So we have obstacles, but we've been working. So we can take up the river, we'll identify which points, we'll show you where landmarks are assessed. Bathymetric study, we explained that Mr. Frank and the patients, et cetera, and some fine money and the grace of the city being after the bathymetric study. It's fascinating because, by the fact, the channel looks like the channel, it ain't what it looks like. Because the channel depth obviously changes. One of the things we talk about is the possibility of dredging. We've had a conversation right now. There's an issue with dredging, but we feel there's a need to make dredging. And we can put that up for the road quick. Yeah. So, issue with the train bridge. They say that's a big issue, not whether it's train versus. But we get up there and that train bridge closes, ain't not moving. So that's one of the issues. When that train bridge goes down, the boats out there, but most of them is Travis. The fire department can't connect the rivers. This is why, again, we want to make sure that we're the impact of the doctors, both those seawalls, the river. One of the things that we uncovered with the shoot for the moratorium for the bathymetric study is that the rules that we've been applying 25 to 30%, etc., may not universally apply. So we are working with that, and we plan to review and the commission with thoughts on how to modify this. We have great overall this guy who, as far as I know, Bob works out. So that's really all. Where I also, we talk about how you take things, we chose, etc. This was our Christmas party here, guys. As hard as this guy works, we had Santa here for our Christmas. And play hard and thank you very much. And so when I say Bob, don't listen. So thank you for joining us. That's all. If I may though, I'd like to open up the door for the public. So we're going to give you a gift. They're not potato chips. This is the now famous MAP M&M. So you all get an MAP M&M, and one's for Anthony. The other thing is, masters. gave one to Tom.
There you go.
Third time you do this, and this is
Thank you.
Next. Barry Flanagan, be careful, he has to stop being the board member because he can't keep up with it. That's, I believe that's enough, but they all done. So this is a little. note.
Ben, I'll take yours.
Yeah, this is a part of the board. So part of the board, the Marine Advisory Board, thanks for the so we gave them, Susan gave them the promise after we would appreciate it. We kept it with our great respect and thank you all for joining. So you are welcome to leave, we'll jump to places you're welcome to stay, but I have a feeling you don't need to. So it's entirely up to you. Hey, shoot, do that way. Somebody expect it. Yeah, you think-
Yeah, thank you, Steve.
So thank you all for coming.
You can take one. No, if you have to, I'm not see that. Get more evidence. I shot class and I'm out of here. Thank you.
So this is part of the meeting. Now, we have two documents.
How you doing, sir?
And a waiver.
Thanks for the deal.
Oh.
What part of Georgia?
Atlantic sauce is.
Georgia covered.
Tech.
Oh, so
Then I graduated.
my mother said that she paid a lot of money for me to learn to say 62 and all. I did let her know. My brother's in Atlanta. He's in Brookhaven.
So this is gonna bring us to 9 Beverly Hills City.
Let's get it up on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
Thank you. See.
Thank you so much.
Okay, guys, what's the sense of the fact that, pushing time, so I'm gonna make it fairly quick, so it's pretty easy with the next presenter who understands both. Very simple. Okay. So, this is an application for approval for the use of two proposed 50 Jen. So Jenna, we can introduce your new company because this is the first time you're in front of us. So Jenna used to be with the Chappelle Group. And we're now in. If you kind of introduce yourself to this part, it's honored to have.
So, good evening, board, public.
Guys,
My name's Jenna Robbins. Good to see half of you, and there's a bunch of new boards. I'm Jenna Robbins, and I started changing Green Environmental with my partner Josh Shive. I've been doing marine construction permitting and environmental consulting for 7 to 8 years now. As Mr. Witt said, I was with Chicago Group on with them for about 6 to 7 years, and then I started this company. We've been going for about a year now. So it's a fun year to meet you all. Tonight I'm presenting 2 permit applications, dock permit applications for private and public property. Our first one is located at 99 Southeast 7th Street on behalf of 99 Beverly LLC. They're located on the Himmershey Canal. Residential property is a multifamily property. It's located just north of Southeast 2nd Street. And so on the south side of 2nd Street is the city public right of way. So they need a private use of public property to build a dock, adjacent to the city's wall. And then here is the boundary survey. Again, this is the upland property, and then South and Second Street, and then this is the public right of way, the city wall. There's actually only there's about 39 feet of coral rock wall located along the city property there. And then the remaining 20 feet is unconsolidated shoreline for those mangroves. Mangroves will remain, they'll be untouched as well as the upland landscapes, which include a ficus tree and a royal peninsula. So none of that will be touched and will remain on site. The applicant is looking to build 2 docks. They're about 15 by 5 feet off of the seawall. And they're being used to launch paddleboards and kayaks until they can find themselves. And they will also adhere to the 5-foot setback that is required for private use of public property. Yes.
Could you tell me something on this, and I haven't seen them before, I think it was recommended by David.
Yes.
I really hope that we, and I congratulate you, I hope that going forward, we can put that 25% mark and that 30% mark in the water.
Right, yeah, because we have to obtain environmental approvals as well, and they all adhere to the 25% for vessels and structures. So that's why there's a up there. Anybody else for clarification? And here's a cross-sectional view of the dock, just to show that it is cantilever over the existing seawall, and nothing will be permanently affixed to the seawall because it is in property. And for the landscaping plan, all of the upland landscaping will remain as is. The ficus tree, royal poinciana will remain. And then the docks will be cut around the existing trees if the access, they are gonna put stairs on the landward side of the seawalls if we can have. And then the applicant doesn't own a vessel currently, so will be used for launching paddleboards and kayaks. And once they do buy a vessel, their registration will be used. For the environmental approvals, Broward County is processing an environmental resource license under application number DF 24-1238. They're also processing the DEP exemption on behalf of the Florida Department of Environmental Protection, as well as the Army Corps State Programmatic General Permit. The county is ready to issue. The only thing that they've requested is any control before the issue. So that, I think, through time and consideration, and I'll take any questions.
So, anybody have any questions? Today, for sure, it was a great presentation. Thank you for taking the time. Really sense what information about that. Probably the biggest problem to get this. There's no yachts, and they're just clear. It's a very sensitive area. My concern is that stuff I should have now out this space, but to address everything, and I think that the rest of the application makes perfect sense. I was over there at the site, and the concern we have mangroves, and helping to confirm that we see to address that. Again, yes. Because of mangroves over there on 72nd and Pershing, Andrew and I, spent a lot of time out there walking there. And I gotta tell you, these folks were incredibly responsive to the things that we were looking for to avoid any interference whatsoever. With that, I throw it out again. Any questions? I see your chart. Would somebody like to make a motion on this?
back to approve the president second. Second. Roll call vote, please, we have second. Roll, please.
Yes, and just for the record, it was Mr. Lynch who was the second.
That's correct.
Mr. Flanagan,
Yes.
Mr. Lynch,
Yes.
Mr. Coburn,
Yes.
Mr. Brunel,
Yes.
Mr. Price,
Yes.
Mr. Dunbar,
Yes.
Mr. Washington.
Yes.
Ms. Ware,
Yes.
Chair Whitten.
Yes.
8-0.
Jen, nice job. So that is, we will recommend the city commission and hopefully they approve that. Because I don't think we could possibly do a better job. So thank you. Yeah. That brings us to document at 915 Southeast Second Street, which happens to be the contiguous property down there.
So this is the second one, it's stated it's a contiguous property right next door, it's to the east of the previous one at 915 Southeast Second Street. So again, aerial, it's the property to the east along the Hammershoot Canal on Southeast Second Street. Here's the boundary survey, showing the upper property, Southeast Second Street, and then this one has a seawall along the entire length of the shoreline. It does have one tree in the right of way. It is a black olive tree, and that one will also be untapped. And then these are just upper pictures showing a black olive tree right here in the middle. This is a cypress tree and all of that under the minor nines. And then this applicant is proposing a 13-foot long dock that extends 5 feet from the seawall. It will cantilever over the seawall, and then there will be the stairs for houses. Again, has 25% with the waterway, and it adheres to the with the 5-foot side yards.
Jen, can you go back to that last one?
Yeah.
If I remember correctly, when you flung ones for the public swale area, it comes across a portion of the dock. Under our code, when you get the permit for the dock, that part's private. So you might have to tweak those lines around a little bit.
Okay. And then the same typical cross section showing that the dock will not be permanently affixed to the wall. And the upland black olive tree will remain on site. Again, this property owner also does have a vessel building with kayaks where the waterway. Once we could purchase the vessel, the registration will be sent. The Broward County actually issued for this dock permit under general license. And they also issued on behalf of the EP.
So, again, thank you. I want to just make a statement to the city commission and the others that be listening to you. One of the things that we all got to do is kind of rushing. I want to make sure that how much vetting goes into this. The fact that Bob don't go in, so I was site, one for the state, etc. The fact that Ken was up there and like, what else can I say? You don't have to say anything more. It's very straightforward, with great presentation. We can sit here for another hour talking about whatever, but the fact is you were very succinct to the point and the applicant did a great job. So with that, we have fully vetted this and I'll make it very clear. A great deal of thought into our response. Do we have a motion from anybody to move this forward, please? Anybody else? We have a motion. We have a motion. And so we have a second. There's a second.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear what the second was.
Jason Dunbar.
Thank you, Mr. Dunbar. Ms. Ware,
Yes.
Mr. Washington, or
Yes.
Vice Chair Washington.
Aye.
Ed Colin.
Smack on that name.
Mr. Dunbar.
Yay.
Mr. Franks. Mr. Brunel,
Yes.
Mr. Coburn,
Yes.
Mr. Lynch.
Yes.
Mr. Flanagan,
Yes.
Chair Whitten.
Yes. So, yeah, great job. Thank you very much. One of the things I suggested to Jenna and, is just that anybody that's, in any affiliated businesses, that if you have anything you want to share with the board, send it to Andrew, and he'll make sure he sends it along to us, so we are kept abreast of the residents doing. That brings us to a dock waiver, 738 Northeast 20th Avenue. That's an area where there's a high density of large vessels, and I will turn it over to our presenter. I see him there.
Alejandro Geraldo.
Alejandro, what?
Yeah, I made some copies of.
Here, I can pass one. Thank you.
This location starts to become kind of super yacht north up there, large vessels. One of the biggest concerns we have, for Alejandro, just in this giant banking vessels, and we feel comfortable we have to use for those years, so we'll take it away.
Oh, good evening, everyone. My name is Alejandro Geraldo, and I'm here to behalf of Mr. Paul Gunther. This is for, the applicant of the application is, 18 Middle River Investment. Greenfield, 738 Avenue. So, in here you see the aerial photograph. Such a property is an area where you're very large units. The owner, as he mentioned, is concerned about everyone renting this and all that. The owner of this property is well aware that this is a residential zone. It is personal purpose. A photo of the property. You can see the large yachts in the area. That one is personal. If you go to the next picture, it's like a bit visual.
I try to focus a lot of it, it's hard to do that.
Oh, yeah. Should I repeat the last part?
That's fine.
Okay. So the next one is the distance exhibit. This is a very wide body of the water, 622 feet from property line to property line. Next one, please. The purpose of this slide right here is just to show you the 30%. The presentation is 30%. We are way behind that 30%, even from the 20%. So this is just the purpose for this slide. This one is existing this property. And this is the site plan proposed.
As you can clearly see, we are this one shows the location of the 6 dolphin paddles that here, and the three triple clusters. The maximum distance of all of these would be 129 feet, 6.5 inches. Here at the bottom, you can see the dimensions of the line. The structural circumstances. These costs will not exceed the 30% of the width of the waterway. The extraordinary width of the waterway to location from property line to property line. The proposed project will not impede navigation through the Middle River. The proposed tasks are necessary for the safe and mooring residential vessels, especially when rain and events the weather. The proposed project consistent with waivers in the area that have been granted. And the perpendicular mooring is necessary at this location. In this location, the project, perpendicular mooring is necessary in this location to protect vessels from high wave energy due to the lack of the low wave zone to the east that is utilized for water, and jet skis. Right, we go to the next one. This is some of the existing waivers in the vicinity. And as you can see, there have been multiple ones. And here is the subject side. We got letters of support that I added to my application. We have neighbors supporting this on each side and another 4 letter. And that was part of my application. Any questions?
So Andrew, any letters of opposition?
I noticed all properties within 300 feet more than 10 days in advance, and I did not receive any opposition.
Questions from the boards? So, thank you again for a very nice presentation. We will address this. I just want to say something, nothing whatsoever like this it does. If you go back to the last slide, and I am not picking on Alan, under file positive, etc. The one before that talks about, extraordinary circumstances, it ain't extraordinary. So again, this is me talking. Extraordinary circumstances are usual, unexpected, often uncontrollable events that deviate significantly from normal conditions. When you bought this property, did you know that you wouldn't put a 100-foot boat there? Did you buy a 50-foot piece of property? Do you know what you can or can't do? This is one of the things we're talking about doing, is making sure we can properly educate the real estate community. So there's been discussion, we talked about maybe going from the for realtors, etc. We can talk about etc. Explain this. But the idea that someone says this is extraordinary, I can do. We move through well with the buying and the order. So again, I'm not picking on this, but this is why this result was pretty good. So great presentation. With respect to this presentation, may I have a motion, please?
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve. That was Mr. Lynch. Do we have anybody else down there? So, second, Mr. Franks. And we'll do a roll call vote as well.
Franks. Mr. Dunbar,
Yes.
Ms. Ware,
Yes.
Mr. Brunel,
Yes.
Mr. Coburn,
Yes.
Mr. Lynch,
Yes.
Mr. Flanagan,
Yes.
Vice Chair Washington.
Yeah.
Chair Whit.
Thank you, sir. So we will recommend that. Thank you very much for the presentation. Again, this is an area where a lot of large yachts and seems to be consistent with going on in the neighborhood. But I want to be sensitive to time, I know we're running late. That brings us to old new business. So we'll move through this fairly quickly. Couple of things. We have 3 vacancies on the board. I've mentioned this before. If you have friends, neighbors, someone you feel would be an asset, please recommend them. One is under Steve Glassman, one is under Dean, I'm sorry, who are the Dean Holmes. With respect to do all business, I'm open to anything here. Mr. Franks, again, has been working very hard. I don't think we need to get into them, but we have something special, but we'll have him do a presentation, next month. I think we covered a great deal. I don't really want to keep anybody any further. Yeah, I want to offer a different perspective on what you just discussed with regard to extended circumstances. That is an issue that we brought up by Ellen Bogdanov and Romney Rogers, who one of the landings in several in the cases. And quite frankly, the phrase that she picked up, to get that straight out. That defies at least 40-year history in the manner in which we have administered. I think extraordinary circumstances said words for this particular thing. We have in the past looked at this in terms of a range. And you see in the backup, Andrew's done an excellent job of showing all of the other waivers that have been granted in that similar location. As long as it stays within that range, it's probably acceptable unless you come up with some competitive navigation or something like that. And I would urge the commission to continue to administer it in the manner in which they have over the last 40 years. But when we change the ordinance, that's when it's time to change the rules of policy so that we can get a better handle on handling things, for example, up in the river with that survey and these points where you be balancing the community's interests versus private interests and so on. So a number of the factors y'all have fed to me, we're working on that. That's my dissenting point of view from your perspective. You just articulated. Well, I think we're on the same page. I just, I think we're struggling with the semantics and having to reinvent the words. Yeah. Thank you. Mr. Planning.
I have long mentioned that Tyler in extraordinary circumstances is not really supported because, in my opinion, that's the applicant is the one creating the extraordinary circumstance. And it's
I feel like it depends on how you use the term. If you use the term of putting it away, articulate by Steve, I would agree with you. If you apply that term in the 40-year history of us granting waivers, then I would disagree.
Well, the waivers come on a basis.
Yes.
Instead of looking at the past, we look at the forward. If a guy is
looking for that range, if I've got something that's way out of that range, then I would suggest to you it's probably good grounds for you to say, Matt, we should go.
Well, how many pictures have we seen from the stern of a boat up against the seawall and a wave goes by 50 feet out in the middle of the river? You see the backwash going. That's created by the guy's boat. Well, does that give him the extraordinary? Because when he puts another piling in, as I forget who the applicant was, we put the pilings in. The stern of the boat didn't change any at all. It grew out in front of the boat. So the backwash is still going on. He created his extraordinary circumstance.
Again, depends on whether you use the phrase according to the way Steve articulated it, or
well, should it be applied when the application is made? Should it be applied differently?
Or should the word even be in?
No, we're going to take it out of it.
That's what I'm saying. The word should be in
the code. That's when you should. That's when you should start administering it the way you want. And I hope the way I drafted it. Obviously, this is all going to be coming back to the work that you did.
I think its word is also subjective to whoever's reading the word.
Yes.
Very subjective.
But I hope that we more objective fact.
Yeah. I mean, like
a balance.
I mean, any hurricane,
extraordinary circumstances is uncontrollable by the
That's good.
person. So any hurricane, as long as if you're doing something to better secure your boat or anything like that, to me, that could be subjectively as extraordinary circumstances. So to get that out of there and like not even have to look at that as a thing, it's, are we meeting the standards and not creating a navigable issue, a navigation issue, or going away, like if these
Right, there's an outer
60
boundary
feet and we
beyond-
now we're going to 129, that's
There are
a little bit different,
boundaries
you know?
beyond which we cannot rent.
Right.
But I don't know that I'm a big fan of saying that I need to do this because there's hurricanes.
Well, that's what we're doing. That's what we're doing.
That's
Every applicant has to make up an extraordinary circumstance to
Well,
put in
they-
front of us,
you forsake
whether
the
it's,
authority.
whether it's real or not.
Now,
And we have to judge on whether we're gonna decide,
quite
oh,
frankly-
that's not real, that's not,
quite
that's
frankly,
a lie.
we talked about highway in this area. I was the one that drafted the Water Sports Activity area. Water sports activity is limited to 21-foot vessels. When you're water skiing, you're not creating great big lakes like you are in the coastal areas. So I personally would not consider that to be a factor or that would convince me that the waiver is that they're entitled to the waiver. I'm okay with this one. Don't have an incentive for a position on it because it's within that range in that area. 20.
I just feel like it's forcing people to make subjective, extraordinary circumstances, and like we now have to individually go, do I believe that or not? And like, that's not something we should be looking at. We should be looking at, does this meet the same standards as everything around it? Is it going crazily over it? Is it still in the 25%, 30%? Is it still meeting those things? And like, and or does it create a navigation issue like some of the areas in the New River could be, even though we could grant it. This is a layup area that doesn't, it doesn't merit. Like,
it would be refreshing if an applicant is wonderful.
Right, that's exactly it. I want it because I want it. And if you guys think I shouldn't do it because it's going to make an issue.
And I think that's kind of like been the history of us granting. Okay, we have fun with it.
Yeah.
Because we're in the business of enhancing maritime use.
Yeah.
So, agree. So again, we can all communicate. If you have questions about, we can send that. We have one last thing. We have 4 waivers coming up this Tuesday, May 6th. They were. What meeting was that?
Well,
it was supposed to come up.
I think there's three, and they were supposed to go a while back, but they've been pushed to the May 6th date.
So, just for what it's worth, guys, you all work very hard. If anybody wants to stop by, I'm gonna be there. Andrew has a previous engagement, Bob will be there, I'll be there, and so we're gonna get our ass in to us on one of them, which we know, but, again, they support, and this is, feel free. Anything else?
Well, I would just say, I don't completely understand the concept of waivers. Why don't we just extend it?
That's one of the concepts that we're looking at.
So right now, once you said it, stick with it. Kind of seems to me, right?
Well, some of the waterways are 700 feet wide and some of them are 50 feet wide. So that's why the set code at a certain distance sometimes doesn't apply without looking at the circumstances around.
It's the waterways in whole. They're not split up depending on each waterway, the code. So, yeah.
Well, it's everybody.
Yes, exactly. So you can get waivers, like you said, when they're really wide, it's not a big deal. But if it's 50 feet wide, you're not going to get a waiver for 140-foot dock.
So we're working through this, Jeff, Bob's, again, term exceptional circumstances, again, you're almost forced to someone to come up with plots, so versus say, I'd like to dock, the neighbor's dock, I'd like to vote. And it complies. One of the things we've talked about, we've mentioned, is identifying the birthing area. So the same when you buy a piece of real estate, you have a survey. Says this is where your property. We've also talked about a birthing survey in the sense that this is where you can vote. 25 feet, 30%, whichever is less. Anything that's anything different, I'm sure is not exception. Maybe it's a mitigating circumstance why you're requesting it, but it ain't exception.
Like you said, you knew when you bought the property.
You knew exactly what you did. So Mr. Felker's working very hard on this. And we'll continue.
And send me your ideas. As I asked for lists, and some of you did, of what you define as acceptable extraordinary circumstances versus non-acceptable.
Let's phrase it a little bit differently. Factors that you think would justify granting a waiver versus factors that would militate against granting a waiver.
But again, we're making factors as a mass blanket, and it's not. Our job is to look at each one of these individually and say, this application meets factors that we're all comfortable with. Maybe he's not, but I am. And then we vote on
that
it. Like,
the fabric of the ordinance. There has to be some definitive standards. It'll be expressed in terms of including but not limited to.
give me an example, because I want to. We have limiting standards right now. So what is your example?
I'm talking about factors or issues that would support a granting of a waiver. You would list a couple of those factors that would be supportive of it, and you would say including but not limited to. There may be other factors that people come up with later on that would fit into that. A good factor justifying a dock waiver would be you've got the water's too shallow to birth control, or there's seagrass there, things like that. Factors that would militate against granting a waiver would be impediments to navigation. Or we get trouble.
And we do have that.
Yes, we do. And I think that was a takeaway from the city commission. I joked about the fact that they knocked down a moratorium. Basically, what they said to us is, look, take everything on a case-by-case basis. Now, if there's an issue there, we'll deal with it. So there is no one size fits all by any means. So I know that's what Bob's trying to do as best as we can, is making something we have 90% five. So something that was mentioned a few moments ago about the width of the waterway and so on and so forth. You'll be seeing this in the not too distant future. Taking another look at it when on the one that you have, that's depending upon the measurement, somewhere around 580 or 600. If you go a little bit farther south, it could be 1,000 yards.
Yeah.
And what I've been working on is a situation where if the width of the waterway measured from property line to property line is more than 200 feet, it will be deemed to be 200 feet. And then we carve out an exception on Northeast 20th, where we know that it can be as many as 1,000 yards. There's other areas in the city where that same principle. If it's for Northeast 20th, where they've got all those large nests, we will deem the width of the waterway to be no greater than 400 feet. Anyway, that'll be coming down here down the way for y'all to take a look at in the future.
So the other thing with that bathymetric, we like the way you did showed everything. It's great. And we looked at like maybe having the pilots that move these big boats up designate areas, not officially, but like designate in their head. These are the areas we like to lay up, so that we know as a board we can look at that and go from here to here is where people lay up, and they're forced to have checkpoints, so that we know like this. Not a boat captain pushes a boat like that, so I know they lay up some places, but these are often areas that we lay up. You know, I mean, just to put it on our radar.
Yeah, I can answer that. Based, I know where those areas are. I'm gonna go with Jump Steel there. I'm gonna go with Port. I'm going both their boats and go the area up and down the river. Right, where the pinch points, where are the issues? All right, where, how much width do you need in these areas? Where is there an issue? Where do you say lay up, wait for the train? So document everything. And okay, for the boats going up and down the river. All right, how much room do you need?
And to me, that could be a board reference that we all have that. I mean, all we look at that every time we have a middle river or a new river issue. We open that up and go, okay, where is it in this? Oh, it's not in any of these issues that these people have even brought up. So I can look at it as a normal thing. And instead of, okay, well, now it's this issue, they lay up here. Let's figure out if it's legit or not. If we can do it, we don't have an issue.
So MIA's application is we're looking at a great video. Mr. Franks, etc. I know it's not completely ready, but I think it's going to be eye-opening because what they did was to take the videos, it shows where the boat is and it shows the price and the land side, etc. There's a lot of work going on. Hopefully the next week process, a lot of work behind the scenes. One note on the moratorium, when it came up with the adopted by the city commission, we got a whole horde of people, testifying against, oh, we got to take our property rights. To me, it's interesting to know there's not a single one of those people that's come here.
Yeah, but I can understand where they're coming from because they're, in case they did, you know what I mean? They're like, they don't want something mass blanketed on them and not taking away their right to ask later. So I can understand that. I mean, that's,
The moratorium is a
oh, that's right.
It's not taking it away forever.
Yeah.
And, you know, as vigorously as they argued, none of them have shown up and asked for it.
Yeah, but Bob, there was only about 6 or 7 of them there, and I've never seen where the voices could not be told to stop if you come to the front talking. It was just total political, and it was 5 or 6 people that drove that.
I'm on board. 1 o'clock in the morning. Yeah. I'm sorry. You started at 8 o'clock in the morning. You were a little punch drunk by 1 o'clock. That was. So we're moving forward very positively. Our heads are up. You know, one of the things we learned over the years with this board, we got a couple issues that the city commission turned us down on. A couple folks left, so you can decide that the hell with it. I'm not going to bother with this, so you can dig in deep. We both decided to dig in deep. So, you know, a guy like Barry, Bob, people like this make huge commitment. The fact Mr. Douglas here, the fact that Patience is here, the fact that Norton is no longer on the board. I mean, this is, we really all care about this, so we're not going to let them steal it. Anybody else? Anybody whatsoever? I would ask somebody to make a motion to adjourn.
So be it.
Second from somebody?
Who's the first?
First initial.
Barry.
Mr. Flanagan?
Yeah.
Got it. We'll do this after.
Quick vote.
Yes.
Aye.
Everybody say your aye. Have a nice dinner, guys. Thank you all very much.